think we're all speechless, and all I can say is wow.
Can I say something?
Please.
I just feel this is everyone's story. This is every woman's story. And I'm the person that told it, but it's yours. It's ours. You know?
Thank you, Megan. And in your journey, finding your feminine side, I think it will help us all look inside ourselves and try to find and release our feminine side. And some of the words that I found here were empathy, hospitality, rejecting nothing, accepting all, creative power, collaboration, receiver, creator. That versus aggression and power domination. And I think that this is the masculine world we live in that we have to free ourselves from.
I'd really like to see if anyone has questions or thoughts about either my work or Sahar's work, or I feel like this is a really good time to just start engaging with each other, because I know this touches some deep emotions in all of us, including me. I cry every time I see this film because I can see.
There were a lot of tears around the room. We're opening the floor for questions. We have 10 minutes of discussion. Can I?
Just want to know more about the moment you stopped and you have the consciousness, or going back to the primary consciousness. I mean, more about this moment.
The moment that I shifted.
Yes.
Can you please repeat the whole question?
Yes.
I was asking about.
Can you switch your mic on?
I was asking Mega about the moment she decided to have a shift, not of consciousness, because she had that already since her childhood, but in life, in practical life. More about this moment.
Well, there has been so many moments. You know, it's first the moment of awareness that it's missing, and then the panic that it's missing, and that I don't know what to do. For 5 years, I asked this question, what is the feminine? And the feminine, by asking this deep question inside of myself over and over and over, it was so deep, it was the deepest call from my soul. And by asking the question, something came to me. And it came slowly, and it came when it was ready, and it came when I was ready. So there were quite a few different events that opened. There's so many aspects of the feminine, and there are quite a few different events that allowed me to receive the wisdom. But it was the deep question, and I believe every person has this deep question inside themselves. And this is the question that one must ask in order to make oneself whole. This is what I did.
I have a question. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentations. My first question is to you, ma'am. This is just a query. I was wondering, when you're talking about youth, how does the question of identity crisis of the youth emerge, and why does politics? I mean, are you only talking about, political leadership, or is it leadership in social, cultural, economic field as well? And my second question is to Megan. It's actually, an observation rather than a question. Certainly it's a very moving film, but as I can see, I think the experience of death, which leads to emptiness. So it is this experience of emptiness which gives rise to wisdom, compassion. And I think this moment is very, very important for us all women. To be able to overcome death, this is the task we have in life. Thank you.
I'm just going to say a quick thing, because I think that death, you have to do it over and over. You have to accept your death over and over. And when someone died outside, it began that journey, to do it, accept my terror, accept my death over and over until I didn't care if I lived or died, Then you're free, a certain way.
Mike?
Yeah, thank you so much, Megan. I was really touched by the whole film, and that is an example of leadership too. When we're talking about leadership, it's at every level, at every scale. I mean, we're always waiting for somebody to be a political leader, and usually these are not the people that are able to assist where it's most needed. So this Maria Tagdis, she was very in touch with the need of women. That women just couldn't even go out of their homes. So even after she was able to say, and now you can speak better English, and now you know something on computers, the families would say, well, you can't go work outside your house. So she was able to adapt and say, okay, what can I do to help work within the culture? I had young people who all they've done is an environmental project, which is let's clean up this bus station. We have so many similar bus stations all over Egypt that's just a mess. And everybody comes here every day, and it's, very bad environmentally. And all they do is very small projects. Somebody initiated it, and oftentimes the entire community responds, the entire community. To me, that's great leadership. I mean, that's amazing.
We'll take 2 more questions.
Thank you, Megan. Congratulations on the production. I would just like to make an observation for all the wonderful gentlemen who are assisting in this conference. We're talking about the integration of the masculine and the feminine. It is the masculine that ignites the seed of the feminine to create. Without the masculine in their capacity to be a guardian and hold a space that is safe for the woman to create, this is not working.
Just move back a little. Move back.
Then without that male, there is no creation. Without that masculine within us, the woman, there is no creation. And without the feminine within the man, there is no creation. So the gentlemen within this conference who are using technology are facilitating this women's conference to blossom out into the universe. And I am in gratitude of all of them in this present space. And thank you to all of the women who are holding the space to empower the rest of us in all these different ways. We have to integrate and be non-separate in our dialogue, but be inclusive in our feeling when we communicate. Thank you.
Can I say something in response to that? As I was growing up my feminine, I was also growing up my masculine. They go hand in hand. There's just, but I feel like it really starts with the person, growing up the feminine. My masculine started to have to protect me in a certain way because I was so vulnerable in my feminine. I had to have this really strong masculine. Also, the masculine brings consciousness, so I was able to bring things up from the unconscious and shine the light of consciousness, which is masculine, on the unconsciousness of the feminine. And so together they worked together hand in hand inside of me so that I can live from both of them more evenly anyway.
I'd like to respond to that too, because I truly am very uncomfortable with the word feminine. I mean, I'm not really not in the same place as many of you. I'm terribly uncomfortable, especially because there are men in the room, and am I excluding my father? Am I excluding my son? And so yesterday, and in some of the opening remarks, we really talked about the idea of balance, bringing the whole family forward. One of the things I can say in the West is that sometimes we forget that in trying to uplift women. We really are forgetting the men. I know it doesn't look like it if you go into a village in the Delta. Yeah, men have the positions, men walk in the street. But in the universities in the United States and maybe in other parts of the Western world, 64% of the students are women. That's terrible. It's not good.
I'd like to make a clarification between masculine and feminine and men and women. Because in Jungian psychology, which is a Western model, the men have a feminine and a masculine, and women have a feminine and a masculine. And I knew when I was using this word that it was going to spark some controversy a little, because it hasn't been well understood that there is a masculine and feminine in each person. And I am pro-man, I am pro-masculine, because I have to have it in order to function. So I don't want, and I think the film really, we went out of our way to make sure that people understood it's not male or female. It's this aspect inside of ourselves, the masculine and feminine aspects inside ourselves.
One last one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the film, it really touches my heart. Especially, I didn't think about women. Especially, I'm feminist and enthusiastic to be a feminist. But actually, in some communities like Egypt, like Africa, to be a male and to be a feminist is not something easy, as we know. Actually, I have a problem with understanding the way how I can be a feminist and a man. You know, we can understand the feminine part, we can understand the woman, we can understand the right of the woman, we can fight for a woman as a man, but I still imprisoned inside my body. I can't understand the feminine part of the woman that I have to fight for. Is this the problem is with me as a man or in a woman that she can't tell me what is the real problems, the deep problems. The film talks about deep problems, but men can't understand these deep points, you know. We can fight for a woman, we can do our best for a woman, but the deep problems, we can know it. We still imprisoned inside our masculine body, you know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question. And I think what you're saying is that you can't understand the feminine from the perspective of a woman. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And that's fine, isn't it? I mean, that you even try is such a beautiful thing, and that you are interested in protecting women and protecting the feminine. That's what matters. I have a boyfriend, and he will just sit down and listen to me. And then at the end he'll say, I heard everything you said. I'm not sure I understood everything you said, but I am here. And that's what all I feel heard. And that for me was so healing, you know? And if maybe that's a suggestion, if you went into a woman, just be very present and listen to what they have to say. And be a feminist and protect women's rights. And thank you so much for doing that and for saying what you said.
And one really final question, because Sharon has had her hand up a long time. Yeah, but
one of the things that I forgot to say yesterday, which goes along with this whole conversation, was when I was talking about the archetypal influences coming in through the movies that are changing, depicting the women. And I briefly alluded to swords and bows and arrows and what have you. The sword is an archetypal symbol that has always been truth and a carrying of power. And in all of these movies, it is a male who is teaching this to the woman that she can go forward and rescue and transform.
And it's the female side of or the male side of yourself. I do want to ask, there's a woman back here who you go ahead, please.
There are so many thoughts and feelings evoked inside me when I was watching this movie. There's one, I will just jot them, tell them out loud. You started the movie by saying something has to die in me in order for something to live. And then you ended it by saying, this is where I am right now, I just want to serve. I just want to ask you, is there a connection between these two very, very important thoughts in the beginning and at the end of the movie? This is one. I really like the fact that you are an interviewer and an interviewee. It's like that you are calling upon all these people that you're interviewing to fill you in, to fill this emptiness, and to really think out loud what you want to do with yourself at the end of the journey, or at the end of the journey of the movie. So it's I really like this aspect. One final thing, or two final things, about when you looked at the children in the eye in India. Because I work with children in need and children prisoners and so on, and on the street. So this is it, that you look them in the eye and you wait for them to feed you in. What happened when you, because India was a turning point for you, so what happened then when you really connected with the children, where you were trying to hide from them for 5 months? Yeah. So this is, yes. The last point is that I'm really tired and fed up with this notion of being apologetic about, when you say, this person did so and so and so, and it's like, despite being a woman, this person has so many achievements, and it's like the undertone is, and she could do all these chores in her life between being a mother and being a housewife and being a businesswoman. So how can she's doing all these things despite being a woman. And we're never saying this to a man. It's like this apologetic tone, the thing of despite, which is...
Thank you. I'll just say one thing about India. So I stood and I looked in their eyes and I had to feel my own pain. That's what I had to feel. I had to feel, because they were part of me. When you reject something, you don't want to feel it. I don't know how to say this. I just had to be present with the pain that I felt associated with the conditions in which they were living. And once I was able to do that, it was like I accepted suffering. I accepted suffering into myself and accepted that I will suffer. And that was a transformative moment, I'd say.
Wonderful. We need to move on, but am I allowed a little comment on the film? It made me feel that it magnified the imbalances within me. And I want a yes or no answer. Do you feel now whole and happier? Because that's the impression I have.
I feel more whole, and it never ends, this process. It's just for the rest of eternity. so you've signed up for that.
We all have lots of questions, but we can catch up with Megan later on because we need to really start the next panel. And we have 3 speakers. May I invite them to come? Tina Mitrusova and Renuka Singh and Louisa Havadalin. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Sorry. You can correct me. Sorry.